Well, as people wander through the Springs Preserve and through the Botanical Garden, there's many different things that you can see. And we have lots of different themes that go on throughout the preserve. And one of those areas is the Rose Garden that we just redesigned. And you can take a look at it around us. We now have about 60 different varieties of roses here in our collection and about 200 new plant specimens themselves. Hopefully we'll get to see some of that this spring, and if not, we'll surely get a nice flush in the spring of 2014. So prior to the redesign of the Rose Garden, there was a smaller Rose Garden here, but because of the other plants that we had around here and the 5 years worth of growth, that Rose Garden was being hidden and there was too much shade, and so the Rose Garden couldn't flourish. So part of that redesign was to restructure the area around it so the roses could thrive. So when you're visiting the Rose Garden, one of the things you're going to want to pay attention to is the signage that we have here, because it'll talk about the different varieties that we brought in. As I mentioned earlier, there are 60 new varieties. Because sustainability and conservation is a huge aspect of the Springs Preserve, another one of our major themes in the garden is this constructed wetlands. And it actually has a dual purpose. One is to recycle and reuse all of the water here at the Springs Preserve, and that's both black and gray water. And this system actually recycles that water. It goes through 2 series of ponds, and it gets recycled about 4 or 5 times until it's about 98–99% pure. And then that water is used to water some of the berm areas that surround the Springs Preserve. And the other purpose is more educational, to talk about natural systems and how they can cleanse the water supply. And so this is a contrived wetlands area, but we have a larger one in our trail system called the Cienega, where a detention basin was converted into a wetlands. And then on a larger scale, we have the restoration of the Las Vegas Wash, which is a regional application to a natural system cleansing our water supply. So now we've moved a little bit south in our garden, and we're in our vegetable garden area. And one of the things we try to encourage people to do here is to get into square foot gardening. A lot of the residential areas here in Las Vegas are very small, whether you live in a house or a condominium or an apartment, but that doesn't mean you can't garden. And there's some great examples here of square foot garden, little spaces that you can use to garden. And not only garden in one season, but here in Las Vegas we're very lucky because we can not only garden in the spring, we can garden in the summer, we can garden in the fall, and we can garden in the winter. And then what you're looking at here, we've got a number of square foot garden raised beds, and you're seeing our winter crop that we have here this season, from onions to leafy greens to beets and to kale. So really you should come out to one of our classes. They're just starting up because we're at the beginning of our spring season, and we can teach you how to be successful in your vegetable garden here in Las Vegas. Now we are in the enabling garden, and it's kind of a work in progress, but the purpose behind this is to show people, and especially those with disabilities, how they can come out and get out into the outdoors and participate in gardening. Whether you are in a wheelchair and you have access to a workbench where you can conduct your gardening. There's another example here where you have some tiered gardening going on. Or whether you're coming out in the garden to feel the different textures that are in your garden, or the different smells, as in a salvia or lavender. All reasons to come out and enjoy the outdoors and in different ways, and to enlighten your senses as you come out into the garden. So now we're in one of our more popular areas in the garden, and that's Cactus Alley. And it's a great representation of the different deserts that you'll find here in the desert Southwest, from the Mojave Desert to the Sonoran Desert to the Chihuahuan Desert. And as you look down this alley at different times of the year, you're going to see different plant species show themselves, whether it's wildflowers in the early spring, cactus in the later spring and summer, your summer bloomers that come out during the summer, and some of your fall bloomers in the fall. So it really gives you an interesting look at what the different deserts are doing throughout the year. And so Cactus Alley is more of an interpretive display. To be kind of accepted by your peers in the botanical world, you need to have a collection of sorts in your botanical garden. And when we first opened, we had a lot of displays and a lot of themed gardens, but we didn't have any type of collection that we could talk about. And so we looked around at the various gardens to see what they were collecting, because we didn't want to be redundant to what they already had. And what we found that no one had a Mojave cactus or succulent collection, and here we are at the Springs Preserve in the middle of the Mojave Desert. We thought what a fantastic collection that could be, especially for our first collection. And we've developed a display area to show all the different species of cactus and succulent of the Mojave Desert. So as you can see, there's lots to experience here at the Springs Preserve, especially in our conservation gardens and gardens throughout the property. And you can come at any time of the year. The gardens are evolving and ever-changing. Some of the newer things we have on the forefront are a new collection that we're procuring for, the Penstemon Collection, a design of an ethnobotanical garden, as well as our butterfly exhibit in the near future. So if you have the chance, come on out on the weekends. You can attend some of our gardening classes and take a free gardens tour to learn more about the gardens at the Springs Preserve.